Okay, today's lesson is very important. It's probably the one topic we talk about that goes all the way through everything that we do this year, and it is called What Makes Something Alive. We're going to talk about 9 different items that you can attribute to anything that is alive. These are the things that they do. Every single one of these is important, and none of them can be more important than the other because they all need to get together. They all need to happen together in order for something to be alive. So, with no further ado, let's take a look at what makes something alive.
All right, we're going to get our slide started with what makes something alive. If you look at something, what are some of these characteristics that every living thing needs? What would be the first one? If we were sitting in class and I asked this question, what is something that makes something alive, or what does every living thing need? I think one of the first things you would say is that every living thing needs water. That's right, water. It doesn't matter if you're a plant, an animal, a fungus, a bacteria, water is necessary for all living things. It's necessary for these dogs that are lounging in the pool. This cat doesn't think it's necessary, but it is most definitely necessary for this cat. That's why when scientists are searching for maybe water on another planet, they think if they find water, they'll be able to find extraterrestrial life. Now, you're not probably going to find something like ET wandering around with his finger glow. You're most likely going to find something like bacteria, and the bacteria may colonize that planet. And that's the kind of living things that we're talking about. What else are all living things made of? They are made of either a cell or cells. We will learn about cells a little bit later on this year. You'll learn about the different parts of the cell and what they do. You're going to learn about organisms that are one cell big, like our friend here, the paramecium, or trillions and trillions and trillions of cells put together, like this blue whale, from the smallest to the largest, just like Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger in the hit movie Twins. Inside those cells, you have something that's known as DNA. DNA is what makes you up. These are all the different traits that make you who you are and make you function the way you do. We'll talk more about DNA when we talk about cells. Fun fact though, did you know that you share 50% of the same DNA as a banana? That's right. You're like half banana. All right, the next part of this is energy. All living things need it. They consume it somehow. So, how do plants consume energy? They get their energy from the sun. You don't see plants running around trying to eat something unless it's a Venus flytrap or a pitcher plant, but those plants still need sunlight. Here we have a nice little chipmunk stuffing his face full of a peanut, it looks like. That's how animals get their food. They consume food by eating it. Oh, look at that. Chewing on looks like a cucumber. Or you could be like Michelle Tanner and stuffing your face full of spaghetti, getting your energy. All living things need it, and they either get it from the sun or by consuming other organisms. When you consume other organisms, however, you are going to create something, and that is waste. Yes, all living things give off waste. How do plants give off waste? Well, they can't have a large buildup of carbon dioxide inside them, or I'm sorry, oxygen. So they give off oxygen where humans take in that oxygen. How do animals get rid of waste? Like this dog who thinks he's a plant. He will no bork today. This dog gives off waste in other ways too, such as, yes, you guessed it, um, getting rid of all this excess waste keeps an organism healthy. All right, our next slide says sense and respond to change. All organisms do this. They respond to their environment, they adapt to their environment. We have these flowers here, for example. You can see how these flowers are leaning, and maybe you'll notice how plants may lean towards the sun. They are responding to their environment. They are um, knowing where their food comes from and wanting to get closer to it or lean towards it to help them make as much food as possible. Animals and people would respond to change in their environment. If you stick your finger into a hot cup of something, you're going to react and hopefully respond to that. Um, Things adapt over time. These Pokemon adapted from these cute little things up to their whatever big selves. I don't know anything about Pokemon. I don't know why I put that in there. But I do know a little bit about Darwin's finches. Take a look at these beaks. These are the same type of bird. They belong in the same family. However, their beaks are a little bit different. Why are their beaks different? The answer to that can be found in the islands where they live. Look at number 4. Has a nice thin beak, which is good for getting insects inside the bark of a tree. But look at number 1. He's got a big beak for cracking shells of seeds. It depends on what was on that island that made these birds change. We'll talk a lot more about that when we get to natural selection this year. The next one is gas exchange. All organisms do it, whether that is a plant taking in carbon dioxide or giving off oxygen, whether that's animals breathing in the oxygen and giving off carbon dioxide. Maybe it's this dog meditating heavily in with the good, out with the bad. Either way, everything exchanges gases somehow. So you can think of gas exchange as breathing. Let's get to the one that makes most sixth graders giggle the most when we talk about it in class, and it's reproduction or reproducing. All organisms reproduce themselves. So look at this dandelion that has seeds on it. The wind takes those seeds, plants them all over the yard, and then hopefully more dandelions grow, or that's what the dandelion wants. It's probably not what the lawnmower, whoever cuts your grass wants. Uh, they don't want these seeds to land and grow, but the dandelion does. How about this puffball? Look at this mushroom. This is a unique way to reproduce. It squeezes out these spores into this really fine mist of spores, and those spores, that smoky thing that you see, they land other places and they make other puffball mushrooms. How about this interesting creature? This organism is known as a hydra. It is related to jellyfish. You can see the tentacles at the other ends. How do they reproduce? Well, they simply grow another hydra off the side of it. You can see the one on the right is the full-grown one, and it's budding a smaller one off its side, which will eventually break off and go live its own life. And then we get to the animals. A lot of giggling with this one because it's, you've got a boy squirrel and a girl squirrel, and they get together and they have baby squirrels. Uh, all organisms, plants, animals, bacteria, fungus, and things like paramecium and hydra, protists, they all reproduce. Then we're going to get to our last one, which is everything grows, moves, and develops. This plant will grow. This plant will move. The things inside the plant move. Whether it's the chloroplast inside moving around in the cells, everything has movement to it, and they do develop from what you may consider a baby all the way up to an old man. Here's a nice picture from me at birth, all the way up to what I hope to look like with a nice, gorgeous gray beard. These frogs are doing some movement here, doing some nice yoga stretches. Okay, so overall, this is what I need you to place into notability. I need you to title something, what makes something alive, and I want you to draw arrows and kind of recreate this graphic inside notability.
All right, everybody, that concludes our notes on what makes something alive. What I would like you to do is, if you didn't get a chance to do it, that graphic that you saw at the end of the video, can you please recreate that in your own notes? Put it in your science folder, notability, because we're going to use those notes throughout most of the year. That set of notes is what life science is all about. And I'm going to be asking you all year long when we're looking at different things, do you think this is alive? Is this a living organism? Why or why not? And you are going to have to go back to these notes. All right, the next part of this is for you to answer some questions in Schoology. It's a sort of a quiz based on some of the information that you just heard. All right, have a good day.